Hey guys, what's happening? Willie here at the Great Outdoors. Hey, I was buzzing through Williamsburg today and hit one of my favorite antique stores. I just shot in real quick because I was passing by. Well, let me tell you, they had some 40% off and some 50% off going on in there. Well, that made me weak. That's right, it made me weak because I bought some things that I knew were in there and they'd been there for months. And I haven't touched them for several reasons. One, they cost too much at that point, and I wasn't going to fool with them because they cost too much, and it just wasn't necessary. Two, they're made of graphite and plastic. Well, that almost counts me out really fast. Graphite and plastic, just not my friends. We're not tight, not at all. I used to call graphite all the time. Sometimes he wouldn't even return my calls. So I'd call plastic and say, hey man, what's up with graphite? Plastic would say, well, obviously, he's heard what you've said about him. And I said, oh, well, has he told you what I've said about you? And plastic went, what? And hung up on me. So anyway, since they were on sale, that's right, they were on sale. They had come down to a price that made me curious, I guess is the best way to put it. I think that's the best way to put it. Well, maybe it's not the best way to put it, but that's the way I'm putting it, whether it's best for me or not. But regardless, I went ahead and got them. Now I'm going to show you one of them really quick. Did you get a look at that? So you want to see it? Okay, fine. The Zebco 202. Now this was an all plastic housing, pretty much all plastic reel, that had the sawtooth retrieval system. Okay, now some people don't like the old sawtooth, some people do. I'm going to show you that. That is what we call the sawtooth in there. There's no pickup pin, no retrieval pin sticking out of the rotor there. It's just those grooves. Those little zigzaggies. Those things that look like the front of Charlie Brown's shirt. That's right, that's all that's there, and that's what grabs the line. Now, I've never been a fan of those things. Because to me, I think they dig into the line too much. Especially if you get any weight on the other end of it. Not just a half-ounce bluegill. We're talking about fish. Real heavy fish. So I'm not a fan, but this one was incredibly clean. And it's a good functioning reel. So for the price that they had on it, and also before we talk price, let's talk combo. Because, oh goodness, it came as a combo on this rod right here. And an actual combo. This is the E202 solid fiberglass single hand pistol style, pistol grip kind of thing, rod. It's in good shape, but it is solid fiberglass and it's pretty doggone heavy. It's pretty top end heavy. They were great if you were just catching bluegills with bobbers along the side of the bank and stuff like that. They were okay, they did their job. Somebody lost the bolt and put a wing nut on there. They were winging it. So I picked that reel up and that rod, okay? $3. Not gonna argue there, $3. It was on sale, half price. The thing was only $6 before and I wouldn't bought it then. But for $3, I picked it up. This will at least be useful for somebody right here. Now, let's go on to the next. We all know that Browning, the name Browning, is synonymous, not to be confused with the Hippopotamus, with the big mouth and hangs out in the water swimming, but synonymous, meaning guns. They're known for guns, shotguns, rifles, that kind of thing. That's what Browning's known for, but for a short period of time, Browning got involved in the world of fishing. That's right, you could go get you a reel, a rod, you name it, made by Browning. Well, at least it had Browning's name on it. That's the way I saw it. Because I'm pretty sure there wasn't anybody at Browning putting together a 12-gauge shotgun and then stepping on over to the next row putting together a fishing reel. Don't think it worked that way. This is a Browning Syntech ultralight rod. That's right, IM6 graphite. Let's talk about what it does. 5'6", 16th ounce to 1/4 ounce, and it handles 2 to 8 pound line. It was in great shape. The cork handles and stuff were in really good shape. There was no problems anywhere on that. No nicks or any deep cuts or anything in the rod that looks like it would snap it off or anything. The eyelets were in great shape. Every one of them were there. It just needs to be cleaned up. All in all, a really good looking rod. Okay, I'm just gonna spit it out now. It was $4. That's right, it was $4. Half price. They had it on sale for $8. Or it was $8 and they had it on sale for half price, so I picked it up for $4. Not gonna argue with that. A decent rod for $4. I went ahead and took it. Now, let's talk about the one that really got me curious. Now let's just say that when I get curious, my wallet flies open. Now it could be worse, trust me. But for me, it's one of those curiosity things. What we're dealing with here is the failure to say no to something I feel sorry for. That's basically what it boils down to. I had gone into the antique store on several occasions and saw this rod and reel combo, and they just wanted too much for it. They wanted $10 for the thing, and I was just not going to pay $10 for this particular rod and reel combo. I just wasn't doing it. Well, today, 50% off. $5, I laid it down and walked out of there with a Johnson Crappie-Pro. And I'm truly hoping that that middle name isn't what I'm going to find out about this thing. The back half of this reel is basically a 225 Century 225 or the Tangle Free. I know that the 225 and the Tangle Free have a little bit different size bodies. Some of these molds on these things, you got to be careful. If you notice, there's a little spot. Let me back up here. There's a little spot on the bottom of this foot. It's a little dot. That's where these things come off of the mold, I guess. And if you push down too hard on the rod, you can actually break that end off. I've done it. I did it on one of the two that's over there. Can't remember which one it was, but it did it regardless. Fortunately, the bodies were the same. The internal parts of the bodies. But the outside was a different length, which didn't matter. It all still worked out the same way. Now, look at the size of that. What's going on there? Is that what makes it the Crappie-Pro? Is it has a larger hole there on the top of the cap? I don't know what good that does. I really don't. I'd like to know, and I'd like to find out. And I think that we are. So what we're going to do is take this thing apart, see what's in there, clean it up, because right now you can barely push the button. The pinion shaft is barely coming out. It's moving, but it's barely coming out, and you can barely turn it. The gears are not stripping, but it's just thick. And I think that is the shaft. Once we take it all apart, I'll bet this will turn fairly free, and it's the shaft causing the problem. So hey, let's get this thing apart, take a look inside, see if it's identical to a 225 or a Tangle Free, and see if we can't get this thing to fish again. Because if it does work, and I think that it will, it could still be worth going take out and go fishing and you know, somebody have a good time with it. Kids, you know, bobber fishing, something. I think it'd be kind of neat. So let's get down to the table, take this thing apart. This is what today's video is all about, other than the fact of saving money and having fun, which is what I did. By saving money and having a good time, I spent 14 bucks. I mean, come on. All right, first thing we're going to do is get this cap off. Okay. Well, evidently there's a liner in there that goes along the top that line gets on to keep it smooth, maybe? I don't know, but anyway, it's come off of there. That'll probably end up coming all the way off. This is your rubber. When you press this up, it presses the line against the roof of the cap. It's plastic. It's not really hard. I guess it kind of is. It's not rubbery, I can tell you that. Anyway, then of course, once you take that cap off, this is supposed to come off. But it sure isn't. Well, like just press the button. If you just press the button, it pops right off there. She has been pressed a few times. I can tell that button inside of there is... Man, we might have to take a look at that button and take a look at the buttons I have left over and see if they can be replaced, because that button has been pressed pretty hard up against the bottom of this reel. Okay, I am seeing a difference here. This spacer piece down here looks like it's sticking down a little further than it did on the other reels. Well, let's get that off of there. Okay, so that whole thing comes off there. That's different. Haven't seen that yet. Now we have a swing arm style retrieval pin there. Swings out. That's a little gummy and gooey, but the spring's working pretty good. That's holding on to that. Looks like this must be brass, all brass or something, because it's not steel holding on to that at all. And then we have this copper style C-clip. And then our spool, which is really gummy and gooey, comes off there. It's got a lot of string on that. I've got to get that off. I'm sorry, line. Let me get that right. That's pretty crusty. We'll get that cleaned up though. Let's see how this works. I'm kind of curious, is this plastic piece... Okay, it's just a plastic spacer that goes in between the gear and the top of the shaft there. So, I don't know if I want to pop that off there or not. We'll try to clean it up first without taking that off of there. If we can. Put that in there. Now, this looks identical. This part here. And see, that moves pretty freely. It's not, don't get me wrong, it's not smooth, but it's part of the issue. And the anti-reverse is anti-reversing. Got to get a look at how all this stuff works. Can't remember. So if you can't remember, the first thing you should do is just take it apart. I mean, what else do you have to do? You just take it apart. Crank's not bad. Now, is that screw on there? Yep. So we'll unscrew that. Not looking too spiffy under there, that washer. That's your, it's like a flex washer. It basically just keeps pressure, like a spring. Is that a washer? No, that's not a washer. Okay. Then we should be able to just take this out. That's not looking great. I'll tell you that right now. Then we have a sleeve. Oh, that is a washer. It lied to me. There is a washer right here. Okay, there's a washer there. Set that in there. This piece needs to come out because it needs to be able to spin. Oh, there's a piece inside of there too. There's so many pieces to this one. Set that there. This comes off of here. Okay, are we seeing all that? That little copper piece has got the hook into the anti-reverse. There's some kind of pin and thing under there that looks like it's seen better days. Looks like that piece is supposed to click. Oh, there's something steel in there. Really needs to be cleaned out badly. We have this little copper piece is supposed to click and it's not even barely touching anything in there. That's what it's supposed to sound like. So, got a drag washer back there and in there. So we have got some cleaning to do. There's a whole lot of moving parts to this thing. We just have to remember how they go. If not, that's why I was filming it, and we will get it back together. Let's put all of this in here. And I'm going to go to the sink, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here I am back with our, let me get this straight here. Back with our thing full of parts. And let's see about getting this guy back together again if I can remember how. That is the important part. Remembering how it goes back together. I don't recall it being very technical taking it apart, but I'm sure there are some ABCs as to how it goes together. This the cap actually cleaned up really nicely. It's got some scars here where people have, this was obviously the spot that was aiming down, and it's got some scars on it there, but no big deal. Make sure we get all this stuff dried up. Where do I start? I guess I need to put the side gear and everything in first. So we'll go there. Let's get all this dried out and put back together. As you see, there's your drag washers, front and back of the gear, which doesn't look bad. Some teeth are sharper than others, but it doesn't look bad. This goes through first. This needs to press up against here. Alright, now we got to put it in here. So I will oil this up, because it has to be able to move inside this graphite housing. Definitely some ABCs to putting this guy back together again. Having to line all these fancy holes back up. There we go. Okay, now if I recall correctly, this washer goes on the outside of that. Okay, then this spring-loaded guy, or does the spring-loaded guy, I think goes underneath of there. See, I'm winging this. I don't want to rewind the camera back. I think the spring-loaded guy was actually there on top of the other one to give this tension to keep it from. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, I don't want to I don't want to stop the camera and have to go back and look. It's just like cheating. Alright, I had to go clean the spool up because I hadn't taken the line or cleaned the spool off yet, so I had to go do that. Alright, now our spool, you have the clicky side, which I don't even understand why there's a clicky side, because, I mean, the spool doesn't turn. So, but there's a clicky side. So what it is they probably use this same spool on several different reels. And we have our little copper clip. Let's move that back out of the way. That goes under there. Then we will pop that on, dry that off. Everything is just soaking wet. Okay, so rotor's on. Put that guy on there. Where's my screwdriver? Here it is. We'll just snug this down. That's all we got to do. Then we're going to slide this body back on like this. Then we're going to put this cap on like this. But it does work now. Everything's doing what it should do. And from what I'm seeing, this is something I see all these do. You notice that? They move. They're sloppy. Let's talk upstairs here just a minute. Doing the thing. And I would say on most circumstances when I'm doing the thing, cleaning them up, I'm usually pretty happy with them. But the tangle-free, the 225 Century, the Crappie-Pro, there's a couple of others I guess made under the same framework. I'm not going to lie to you, they're not the kind of reels that make me very happy. Now this one, I got to tell you, is in darn good shape. And I mean darn good shape. And I walked by this reel. I bet you I walked by this thing. I've been in that antique store, been going on a year and a half, 2 years, and I have walked by this reel on that rod for probably a year, ever since. It's been there ever since. We're going to put some line on this thing, or it may go somewhere else. But I wanted you to see the inside of it and see that if you go back to the videos where I took the tangle-free 8 apart, you're really looking at the same setup other than this large hole. As we found out before, I think this area in here is a weak point. I think if you hooked into something with some size, that would break that. But this one does feel, it feels stronger. It feels stronger than the tangle-free 8. and the 225 did. Hey, all I can tell you is we take it fishing. We take it out there, we put some line on it, we hum it a few times, we see if it does what it's supposed to do. That's it. That's the science of fishing, okay? Especially when you're dealing with vintage stuff. Well, anyway, there you go. The Johnson 230 Crappie-Pro. It's a very hard name to say without laughing. And you know me, I love the Johnson Centuries and Citations and Model 80s and all that stuff, but these guys here, I'm not much of a fan, but we're going to take it fishing regardless. I took the 225 fishing. Well, actually it wasn't the 225. We used the 225 to build the Tangle Free 8. I took it fishing. I gave it a chance. I'm going to do the same thing with this. So there you go. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Crappie-Pro. I'm going to say crappie because it makes me feel a little bit better inside about saying that. The Johnson 230 Crappie-Pro. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Whatever the next one may be. It could be. You just don't really ever know. Why does this thing make so much noise?